I do want to talk now about the 118th Congress. And as you know, Democrats have control of the Senate, Republicans have control of the House. So, what do you think a divided government can achieve?
Well, it depends on what the government wants to achieve. I came from a legislature where Democrats were in the super minority, and I was the Democratic leader. And people often say to me, well, why would you want to come into Congress? You're going to be in the minority. To me, this is an upgrade from super minority to minority. And we were incredibly successful. And I learned how to work with people who had different ideas, who didn't always agree, and sometimes just didn't even want to talk. But uh, listening much more than speaking, finding that issue or that topic where you do agree and building from there rather than the opposite is how I've been successful in the past. I'm going to bring those same skill sets with me to Congress to work on behalf of the people of Ohio 13.
I do want to talk about that. You have a history of bipartisanship. During your time in the Ohio House, you supported bipartisan bills that covered a host of issues, from domestic violence to road improvement and everything in between. So, what are some policy areas you can see working with Republicans on in the next 2 years?
So right now, I am a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and there is literally no person in the United States who does not have to deal with our transportation and infrastructure. It's one of the largest committees in Congress, and we are all very committed to ensuring our roads and bridges are safe, our water is safe and easy and available to drink. These are just human basic needs, basic human needs. And I am confident I can continue to find ways to work with my colleagues to ensure that we are getting people to and from, that we're supporting our supply chains with rail and aviation, as well as our roads and freight. And it is a matter of our public safety to ensure all of these things are in working order. So I've been in communication with my colleagues. I know that there are places where we can get together and work. It's the reason why I accepted the position vice chair of the Bipartisan Women's Caucus, so that we can talk about the issues that impact women and uplift those in a bipartisan way. But ultimately, this is about conversing with folks who have very similar needs and identifying allies in those places and building up from there.
Is there any specific legislation regarding both infrastructure and women that we can look forward to?
Well, I think we could look to the State of the Union where we saw the government, or excuse me, the president talking about Medicare and Social Security. There are a lot of people across this country who rely on those two services, and even at the president's nudging, we were able to get at least a standing commitment, if you will, that people from both sides of the aisle are going to support Medicare and Social Security, even with the conversations around the debt ceiling. So I think that's a great place to start, ensuring some of those programs in which people have paid into continue to exist into the future, and ensuring folks aren't in poverty and they're getting the support that they need.
And is legislation and women issues your top issue in your agenda, or do you have any other priorities as well?
My priorities are the priorities of Ohio's 13th congressional district. And what I heard from them and what I continue to hear from them is they are looking to find ways in order to lower cost, saving money on gas, groceries, rent, and anything else that impacts their daily lives. We've seen a lot of legislation from the Inflation Reduction Act or the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law or the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act that is going to be implemented in this year. And I'm looking forward to continue to work with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to take advantage of all of that fantastic legislation and implement it in a way that impacts all of us equitably in ensuring that we're living the best lives that we can in our communities.